It's your host TPLAY, and today I'm going to be showing you guys how I set up my production template so that I can make beats really quick, and I already have all my stuff ready to go, and every time I open my software I can just go ahead and just start writing, and I don't have to drag in a bunch of stuff or route a bunch of things. So just kind of follow along, and if you have any questions, feel free to comment down below. So the first group that I'm going to do is I'm going to do my drum group, and I like to use battery because it's super easy to make a kit and route the outs so that I can have everything on its own separate channel. So I have this one kit that I've been using a lot lately, and it's my loud and lean kit. And you'll notice that if I actually, hold on, I'm going to go down and turn this down so it's not too loud. You notice that if I click on all these, the only things that are playing is the kick, and that's just kind of how I have the whole kit already pre-routed the way that I like it. So if I go ahead and I click expand, I can go ahead and just add all these tracks, and this needs to be the VST version of battery to be able to do this. So now if I click play all these, they'll all play and they'll all be routed. Oh, that one needs to be rerouted. Let's see, output, direct out. This would be 1615, and then we'll go up here, go up here, and then hit file, save kit, boom. Okay, so that's the drums, and you'll kind of notice that I don't have one that's in a closed hi-hat, and the reason is I prefer to keep those on a separate lane because it's just a lot easier to write the rolls and stuff that way. So you have a couple options when it comes to this. You can either just use a normal sampler VST or your sampler in your DAW, or you can do what I did in, I think, Ableton, Reason, and Studio One. You can do this, and basically all it is that for each note there's a different arpeggiator arpeggiating a sample at a different rate. You can do this for snare rolls and stuff like that, but if I go ahead and I play this, and it's velocity sensitive, so that's why I jumped in volume. So but you can just kind of play your rolls in, or if you don't like to do it that way, you can just write them in with the sampler. Next thing I'm going to do is, this is optional, but I have a just a bunch of percussion samples that I like to use a lot, and sometimes I'll just throw reverb and filter on this, and I'll just kind of fill in the gaps that way. And these are all routed out to different outputs as well, so if I go ahead and I just open that up, you'll see that they're all there. And then I'll make 2 audio tracks, so if I want to drag in a drum break, or if I just want to drag in any type of percussion element or chants or something like that, then I can just do that. And I only want 2, and I want them to be red. Also, color coding and naming all your things is really helpful because you can just always locate it in the mix really quickly. And we'll just call this kick, and then we will click this, not that, click the channel, hold shift all the way over here, and then click down here and make this red. I'm gonna quickly name all these. I'm not going to try to rename that because I can see that clearly right there. So that is the drums done, and the only thing that we're going to do now is I'm just going to shift click all of them again. I'm going to right click, and I'm going to add bus for selected channels, name this drums, and boom, that is your drum bus. So and then rename it drum. Oh no, I want to color it. Cool. So the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to do the bass group, and then a chord group, and then an effect group. Not like this though. So the bass group, typically what I do is I use an 808 sample, so I use a sampler, load up a library that I like, or at least just have an 808 in there that I like to use a lot. So I like this Echo Soundworks Sub-Zero library, so that'll be the 808. Next thing I typically have is a bass pad or a Drake bass, so we'll go to Native Instruments and I'll use Massive because I know I have a preset in there that I like to use. And wait that to load. And we'll go to this one. And I'll just kind of play this just so y'all know what I'm talking about. Whoop, too low. Cool. And we'll call this bass pad. And then we'll call this 808. And then you could add like a pluck bass or like something like that, but you don't have to. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back into massive and I'm gonna turn it off because I might not use it and I don't want it taking up CPU if I'm not gonna use it in the actual song. And then I'm gonna add 2 audio tracks, but they're gonna be bass samples in case you want to drag in like a pre-done 808 line or something like that, or maybe just like sample a synth bass part in like a pack or something like that. And we'll label these blue, and then go ahead and click here, shift click again, right click, add bus for selected channels, click here, bass, click off, click here, blue, and then just kind of repeat for the chord group. So like we'll just do a massive, and then I'll turn this off, close that. If you want to have a specific like preset done, you can just go ahead and put that into whatever instrument you're loading in and save it, just so you have something to write with. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to expand 2 because I use it a lot. I'm going to go in, wait for it to load. I'm going to go to here, and I'm going to do acoustic piano, and I think it was called ambient piano. And it's just like a piano that I can just write with. Boom. I don't know if y'all saw that, but I've got this Flux app, so like whenever I'm working late at night, like I can cut out all the blue light out of my screen so it doesn't keep me up after I'm done. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a chord sample. And then I'm going to turn these green, hit OK, and then shift click on these, make these green too. Chord 1, chord 2, in case I change those, just so I know that this was a piano, but you could label this piano if you just want to always have a piano in your session. Close this over, click here, shift click over, right click, bus for selected channels, chords, green. Cool. Next thing we're gonna do is we're just gonna add 3 audio tracks and just call them effects. So this is for like your whooshes and your reverse cymbals and stuff like that. And I'm gonna have 3 because sometimes I like to have an up riser, a down riser, and like my tag in certain instances. So I'm gonna turn these purple and hit OK, already labeled. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go, same thing, right click, bus for selected channels, effects, purple, purple. And then I'm just gonna add 3 buses. And this one is gonna be the filter bus, filter bypass, whoops, and then pre-master. And I want to change this to white, that can stay black, and then I'm going to turn this to yellow. Okay, so on the filter bus, we just need to add like a filter plugin, or you can even use like an EQ, but I like to use the DJM filter because it's a free filter plugin, and you can change the resonance and you just automate this to go up and down, and you know. And the reason I'm sending this all to a separate bus is because I'm going to send it all to the filter bus for now. Is typically you'll have sections of certain songs, especially now that, you know, only the drums are being filtered and everything else is fine, or the whole track is being filtered, or everything's being filtered or affected by some, maybe like a tape stop or something other than like one element. That's what you would do here. So like if you didn't want your drums to be filtered, you would just go and do filter bypass and they'll go through, and as long as you don't mess with the levels, everything you have done before that'll be fine. We'll turn off the DJM filter, put this back to the filter bus, and then on the pre-master, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm just going to have a mastering chain that Studio One has. Where is it? Oh, effects, mastering, and it's fatten things up. And I'm going to turn off this EQ, and I'm going to add one thing real quick. I'm going to add a bus compressor. So compressor. And master bus. So if you guys want a master bus preset that actually works really well, just kind of copy these settings. The only thing you'll have to really play with is going to be the threshold, and you're going to want about -2 to -4 dB of gain reduction. Anything more than that on the master bus is going to probably be a bit too much. And then what I'm going to do is put this right here so it's first. This multiband dynamics, I'm just going to kind of bring the mix down. I kind of just know this just from like messing with it. And then the limiter, I'm going to turn the release down. I'm going to put the ceiling at -3, and then the input would just make it louder. So like we'll just pull it up to probably 5 would be good, just to kind of start out with, just so you can write with, just so you don't have to like constantly turn your speakers up and down or like your interface up and down. And then that would be that. You can go ahead and like make like synth effects channels and like other stuff like that, but this is basically your template in a nutshell. Some other things that I like to do are going to be, if I can open it, let's see. Some other things that I like to do is I like to take and put a gain tool of some sort on the each of the tracks, so that way I don't have to use this fader as much, because like if you can see from here to -6, that's a pretty big range, but if you go from -6 to 12, that's like it gets smaller, and they get smaller as they go. So the more room that you have with your fader to be able to like make minute changes, the better. So if you use a gain plugin or you use the actual volume of like say like massive or expand, you can actually like help have more room in this fader to make drastic adjustments if you need to. As far as that, guys, this is pretty much just the basic template setup that I have going on. I think I have like a lead group as well, but I hardly ever use it, so that's why I didn't put it in this tutorial. If this was helpful for you guys, make sure you guys like the video. If you have any questions, feel free to comment down below, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date with all my tips and tricks. So I will catch y'all guys later, and peace.